Welcome back to Project Reworked. Last time I stripped the paintwork and prepped the bike body. Decided to strip the wheels down completely because you can't really get spoke wheels clean. And both the wheels were buckled to some degree. One of them had a dent in the rim. I have new wheel bearings to put in and I wanted to spray the hub. So I'm just going around and lubricating the spokes. Couldn't find my spoke spanner, so I made a tool just to loosen off the spokes to start with that was small enough to spin round. Actually found it easier to use a small adjustable spanner in the end to get them started. Once I got them all started, I could just nip round with the electric screwdriver and take them out rather than spinning around the tool I made or using the small adjustables. It's a lot quicker. You can see that the rim's in reasonably good shape. There is a bit of rust, but it's not too bad. And that was mainly on the inside of the rim. Not a lot of rust on the actual, not a lot of damage at all actually on the outside of the rim apart from the dent and them being a little bit buckled. Some of the spokes were a bit grubby, but I managed to feed my wire brushing fetish by wire brushing all of the spokes, which was actually quite satisfying. I'd not disassembled a rim from with the spokes and the hub previously, so did one wheel at a time and but I kept one as a reference so that I knew exactly where the spokes needed to go back in the future. As it turns out, they need to go back in not only in the right place with the right length spoke, but in the right order. And the wire brushing continues. It will ultimately make a big difference to the way the wheel looks. I don't know, I should have probably painted them or sprayed them with clear lacquer to stop the rust coming back on them, but the bike's probably not going to get ridden, so and it'll be kept inside, so I didn't do that in the end. I'm just buffing up the hub. Again, it's in pretty good condition, but just so I can get a good key for paint. I think they were originally painted, but I've chosen a sort of primer come top coat, hard wearing Rust-Oleum paint that should match, pretty much match the originals. Just masked up the hub and effectively the brake liner, just to keep any stray paint out of the braking material. So just a sort of dust coat of the Rust-Oleum silver to start with. I find this Rust-Oleum paint really good for this sort of thing. Seems to be hard wearing, easily applied, and you get quite a good finish from a can. So as I said before, the rim's in pretty good shape. It's quite rewarding being able to polish where the spokes would have been. It's always a difficult place to get to when the spokes are on the rim. You can get new old stock rims and reproduction rims for these bikes. I've tried all the way through this, I've tried to keep the original part, even if it's not in perfect condition, but try and keep the original part if I can and just make the best that I can. As you can see, just a bit of a clean up with these. I think I'm just using a little bit of chrome polish, makes all the difference. The rubber spoke protector was perished on both the wheels, so they've been removed. There's a minor amount of rust, nothing really flaky, so just wire brushing as much of it off as I can before I go any further. Sorry about the light in this one, but I'm attempting to reassemble the wheel. As you can see, I've got the other wheel laid out next to me for reference. I assembled both wheels myself, but I had a friend tensioned the first wheel, which was really quite badly buckled. I watched him do the first wheel, and the second wheel I did myself, and it took me quite a lot longer, but I came up with both wheels being pretty straight. This is fiddly, but it really is quite rewarding. more wire brushing action on the spacer, which wouldn't have been required, but I wire brushed everything else, so why not? The wheel bearings were actually in good condition, but I decided to order some new ones. Remove the old bearings, just applied a bit of heat to the hub. Probably should have done this before I painted, but I kept the heat to the minimum, but just enough to get to drift the old bearings out without damaging the paint and distorting the hub. Just applying a little bit of grease to help the bearing sit in. I think I always find an old socket that's the right size just to be able to drift that home. The bearings were pretty good, but replace them anyway. Just assembling these wheels were tubed, so I've applied a new rubber protection band on the rim on the inside. New tubes. These tyres are 275s, I think, 275 18s. Original tyres were 250. It was a lot more expensive to get anything in 250, and the only brands I could find were brands that I hadn't heard of. So I think these are Michelin commuter tyres at 275s, and they're slightly wider, but they fit well onto the rims and look good when they've got air in them. So, and they're probably more grip than the 250s, and they're a good brand. I found using these grips really helpful in squeezing the tyre over the rim without damaging the rim with tyre levers, or damaging the tube with tyre levers, which in my younger years was always the risk with these sort of tyres, or even push bike tyres. You know, back in the day we didn't have the right tools, so we'd be trying to use screwdrivers, and more often than not we'd end up repairing a puncture and then putting a new tube in and going through the tube with the screwdriver trying to get the tyre back on. So just adding a little bit of light oil to the rubber just to finish it off over the rim, and using a proper tyre lever with a hook on the end. Once the air was in the tyre and everything was up to pressure, I did just go around and check all the spokes to make sure that, you know, they were as tight as they needed to be and there wasn't anything loose, and then just a quick rub over, and I was really pleased with the results on the wheels. It was worth the time in taking them apart and cleaning everything. The rubber drive in the rear hub was in good condition, so I didn't replace that. Didn't show any signs of deterioration, rotting or splitting, and it was still a good fit. So assembling the rear hub with new sprocket, and everything got a liberal coat of lithium based grease, and tightened down to torque. Yep, that's about right. So these are the original chain tighteners that go on the rear axle and pull the wheel backwards to tension the chain. As you can see, completely chewed up. So I'm going to use some washers to make a new one. Just flattening off one edge so I can weld to it. And cleaning up the end of a bolt again to make sure I can get my welding needs all the help it can get. There's nothing quite like having all the right tools, and this is nothing like having all the right tools. But we'll go with what we got. Again, my wire brushing fetish to clean up the welds. And I'm quite pleased with the result. The second one wasn't as bad, so just straightening and tidying it up. So I don't think I had another washer big enough, so, well, the one I had was too big, as you can see, so I marked it out and just ground it back. The same process again with a bolt, and then just cleaning up the weld. Not brilliant, but a lot better than the one I had. Now I've got those made, I can get the rear wheel assembly back into the frame. But that's next time. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment and thumbs up if you like the content.